Hi guys, Lori the Frugal Mom here. It is, very early on a Tuesday morning. The Northeast just had a tremendous blizzard. We got about 24 inches in my area. It's supposed to snow quite a bit more this week. Let's see if it does. It could always change. It's been a cozy, quiet day. My daughter is at her dad's and my son is at his. He kind of got stranded up there and there hasn't been school for the past couple days. Um, there's not going to be today, so he'll probably be home this evening, hopefully, because I do miss the little bugger when he's not here. And I have texted with them and talked to them today, so it's all good. I'm recovering from not feeling too well. Um, as you guys know, I have the esophageal tear that I'm still healing from, and then the other night I had to go to the emergency room, and I am having a ulcerative colitis flare. So I must have slept about 12 hours today, and that's okay because my body must have needed it. Anywho, this video is about things that you wouldn't necessarily compromise on to be frugal, and things that most of us really wouldn't do, and things that you really shouldn't do, at least in my humble opinion. So, the number one thing for me is cleanliness. I belong to a couple frugal living groups on Facebook, and I see some people say that they'll shower without water or shampoo. They'll just let the water run over their body and they'll only use soap once or twice a week. So, for those of you who remember, my mom, she grew up uh, post Depression. She was born during the Depression. So many of her formative years were post Depression. My aunts and my uncles, however, they were born before the Depression and they were coming of age during it. So they remember very well what it was like. Thankfully, my grandfather was a carpenter and a woodworker, a painter, and he was very resourceful with his skills. And so he was always able to make somewhat of a good living, and they didn't live above their means. And my great grandfather, he found a way to make money. Back then, you could, make a couple of cents a day by putting, I know it sounds crazy, by putting erasers on pencils, and grandma would take in sewing, from what I understand. So there was always a way, and everything was pretty much made from scratch rather, in their household. And they had a large family to feed, and there was probably like at any given time 7 to 9 people in their household. And I believe that they had a 2 bedroom cold water flat. um, so there you go. They at one point had a dairy farm. um, I believe it was like in the Union City area, if not upstate New York. I can't remember all the details. I do have it written down somewhere. So they were part of that generation that learned how to use it up, make it do or do without. So the one thing that was very important to our family was to maintain cleanliness. So that still holds true for me today. So when somebody tells me that they're just going in the water, that all that does is it basically, you're just running water over yourself. You're not getting anything clean. You need the mechanical action of the soap and, either hand, a washcloth, a loofah, what have you. But you definitely need soap. So for me, cleanliness is a deal breaker. My mother always said that, cleanliness was next to godliness, and she was right. And if we're not going to talk about, bringing God into the equation, she also used to say, you could be poor, but you can be clean. And she was right. She was right every meaning of that phrase, because you could go to Dollar Tree and buy 2 whole bars of soap, which will last quite a while. And if you're just putting it on a washcloth and the whole family is sharing it, then that's fine. That's perfectly sanitary. You want to wash your washcloths regularly. I mean, we only use ours a few times each before we throw ours in the washer. You can't use them, for days and days and days without washing them to get kind of sour. But literally, you can buy 2 whole bars of soap, various brands that they sell at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, any of those dollar type stores. You can also buy a bottle of shampoo for $1 or $1.25, and a bottle of conditioner if you need it for $1, $1.25. If you have a dry scalp, you can get dandruff shampoo for a reasonable price as well. We're not talking about anything fancy here. We're just talking basic hygiene supplies. You can buy deodorant at the Dollar Tree, even if those types of deodorants don't work for you. You can get a better brand and it'll just last you longer. Like a stick of deodorant, I have to say, and I'll put mine on once a day in the winter and then sometimes 2 to 3 times in the summer. It'll last me a while. It'll last me a good 6 weeks. So that's not really a place that you want to skimp. Spend a couple of dollars, get yourself some hygiene supplies. The other thing is on your laundry. Like, I've also read that people don't put detergent in their wash. So I am actually going to show you, I'll probably put a little clip on the end of this video, how much detergent you need to clean your clothing. And you'll be surprised. Getting a little warm here. I'm just going to take a sip of my ginger ale. It's Diet Ginger Ale, generic brand, of course. My strawberry shortcake cup. So you literally only need 2 tablespoons of laundry detergent to clean a full load of laundry. I don't have hot water hookup for my washer. I wish that I did, but my landlord didn't want to invest in putting a hot water line in the little closet that we have our washer in. So I run an extra long wash and I run an extra rinse cycle. And a very economical thing that I like to do is put a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of baking soda in my wash loads, especially the ones that are a little funky. More delicate items, I will not put the vinegar and the baking soda in. But my towels, my whites that include underwear, anything that, my son has participated in a sport wearing, pajamas, sheets, I will do that with. And it doesn't take a lot. Like I said, maybe 2 tablespoons in a large load, and maybe like a 1/4 cup of baking soda. And I will use some fabric softener, but I use a very little amount and I dilute it with water. And my laundry always comes out smelling fabulous. I do have some OxyClean and I reserve that for really funky, dirty stuff and stains. And I buy huge containers, like 200 load container full of Arm & Hammer laundry soap. It's about $15 to $16, and I can make that last months. Remember, we're a family, so we do a lot of laundry. And, we're washing sheets every week, towels, whites, darks, throws for our furniture, blankets. I like everything to stay very clean, but definitely do not skimp out on laundry detergent. Even if you don't want to add the vinegar and the baking soda like I recommended, you could even get a laundry detergent that has fabric softener in it. Just don't. It's just not worth it, because you're going to have that funky smell in your clothes. If you've got stains, they're not going to come out. You're going to get dingy whites, and your clothes are not going to last as long. Some people will tell me that your clothes last longer without the detergent, but because you're using such a small amount and you're doing an extra rinse, really everything rinses completely out. And it also doesn't gum up your washing machine when you use such a small amount. So that's another hygiene thing. Your home should always be clean. I'm not saying it has to be Apple Store clean, let's say. I know not all of us have time, but you want to make sure that you have ample cleaning supplies. The most frugal way that I've found to do this, again, white vinegar has so many uses. So a gallon of white vinegar now I can get for about $3 and some change. And I use it for so many things. It's amazing. I use it to clean my humidifiers out on a weekly basis with just a drop of Dawn dish detergent. I make a spray with Dawn dish detergent. Sometimes I will soak orange and citrus peels in vinegar when I have that many, and I will make a lovely vinegar citrus spray that cleans great. That citrus oil is great, and it cuts through grime and grease better than anything that I could ever buy. Vinegar is great on windows. It's great if I just need to spray down my table real quick. I wouldn't use it on straight wood though. Okay, so there's other things you can use on straight wood that don't cost a lot. Um, you know, I like to, like, I don't know if I said, I like to clean down my stove top with it. Sometimes my oven door, um, my microwave. Trying to think what else I'll clean with it. When I do a deep clean in my bathroom, I do like to use other things, but if I just want to do a quick little swish of my bathroom sink, I'll spray it in there and I will wipe it down. If you have floors that are affected rather by vinegar, they're great to clean floors, especially tile floors, as long as they don't have a certain kind of seal on them. And here's Mittens. He wants to contribute to the video too. Say hi, little buddy. Hi, my bestie. Isn't he cute? So I think he's going to go on top of the desk behind me. So yeah, vinegar is such a great item to clean with and so affordable too. You can mix vinegar and baking soda and you can clean your drains, your shower drain if it gets clogged up. Um, your sink in the kitchen and your sink in the bathroom. If you get like that funky smell that comes up out of the pipes every once in a while, you just mix together that. You can make a paste with vinegar and baking soda, and you can leave it on surfaces that are stained. Like it works great on grout, certain kinds of grout, and you just scrub it with an old toothbrush. So yeah, you want to make sure, especially with your bathroom and your kitchen, that you're keeping both of those areas clean because germs will just thrive in those areas. Your fridge, your sink, your stove top, your tabletops. So, especially when you can utilize such a cheap thing to keep clean, why would you want it to be dirty? And you don't have to spend an enormous amount of time each day. You just want to make sure that, you're cleaning those surfaces you're using a lot. Even if you spent like 15 to 20 minutes a day, every time before I cook, I like to make sure my stovetop is clean and my counters are clean because you don't want to pass around germs. And every time we sit down at the table, I make sure that I wipe it clean. Um, Another thing that I like to use for cleaning, and you can get a big bottle of this for about $5, is Pine Sol. It comes in lots of scents. My favorite, I haven't seen it in a while, is Cherry Blossom. It's because I bought it almost 2 years ago. I got this huge bottle. It was literally this big for $5 at Walmart. You use a capful. Maybe a tiny bit more if you have like real stubborn dirt. And it's good on wood. I clean my stairs with it. I wipe down my wood dining room table with it. Um, and that's about it. Yeah. And then I literally have like the cheapest version of Pledge to polish my furniture with. And I'll tell you the truth, my wood furniture I will only polish twice a year because that's all it needs. Anything more, it's going to get a buildup on it. So I take dusting cloths. Now, my dusting cloths are not the kind, well, I have a few microfiber ones that I bought from the Dollar Tree, but I just use old t-shirts, old towels. Depends on what I'm cleaning. Towels will leave like fuzz, like lint. But I like to use like t-shirt material to dust with, or even old socks. Old socks are awesome for blinds. Anywhere that you have like crevices, because you can kind of manipulate your fingers in the toe of the sock. Yeah, so I just dust with those kind of things regularly, and you know, they work great. So I just knock the dust off of things. So, I won't do without Pine Sol. I also like regular yellow Lysol cleaner, and I got 2 gallons worth for $13 at Odd Lot a couple of years ago. That will last me for years. You can get a smaller bottle for about $3 on sale. And again, you only need a capful. So you don't really need a lot of cleaning agents. Vinegar, baking soda do it for most of our stuff. But I do like to soak my tub. And I do like to wash down my shower walls with Pine Sol and Lysol. So you don't want to compromise on clean no matter what you do. Okay? I'm trying to think what else is a deal breaker for me. Now, of course, this is controversial because of everything that's been going on with SNAP lately, and I know that food prices are huge. So, nutrition. So, at some point, we have learned to rely on convenience foods quite a lot, and some of us more than others. Um, and that stuff just isn't healthy. Now, I'm not going to judge you because I know there's different seasons in life where we might need to rely on some convenience foods from time to time. I have a package of chicken nuggets in my freezer. I have that there because my teenage son is always hungry. So, yes, I've got that. And I also have fish sticks too, but I don't buy them all the time. They're just there for in case. But nutrition is something that you really can't compromise on. My mom, a very wise woman, used to say, if you skimp on the table, then you're going to be paying at the doctor later on. And she was absolutely right. So there are ways that you can have very nutritious foods in your diet for not much. You can buy frozen vegetables, you can buy canned vegetables. We can't all afford fresh vegetables all the time unless we find a good sale. You want to have your lean proteins, and you want to make sure that you have a little bit of carbohydrate in there. You don't always have to make your protein the star of the meal. You can make it part of the meal. You can make casseroles, all sorts of different wonderful dishes. You can buy a cheaper piece of protein and it gets tenderized by using the crock pot to cook it. You want to make sure that you've got some fruit in your diet. It's okay if you just choose to drink water. That's perfectly fine. You don't need to buy sugary bottled drinks. You can make drinks at home. You can make your own iced tea and sweeten it with, um, you know, low carb sweeteners of your choice, or not at all. There are different ways, to make sure that you're eating balanced and healthy. And I think that in the last 50, 60 years, a lot of us have gotten away from that. And we're slowly coming back to it, making your own bread at home, biscuits and whatnot. And I know that this is not necessarily, something that we can all do because of the different seasons that we might be in our life. But we can sometimes adjust our schedules to do that. Um, and you save a lot of money when you make things from scratch at home. Canned soups are outrageously expensive. I do keep some in my pantry just in case. I try to put a lot of beans in our dishes because they're a great source of protein and fiber and other vitamins. There's always a way, my friends. So, nutrition is definitely one of them. Um, Trying to think what else. Yeah, so for me, being comfortable temperature wise is very important because of my health issues and the stage of life I'm in. So, um, in the summertime when it is hot, I am not one of those people who is going to tell you that you need to turn down the temperature on your air conditioner because it gets humid outside, especially here in New Jersey, and I don't like feeling sticky. I'm having hot flashes now, and when it's hot, it just exacerbates it. It exacerbates all of my health problems pretty much. So I will sacrifice pretty much everything to have a nice cool home or a reasonably cool home. And in the summer, I've just got to do that. So I will make payment arrangements and rob Peter to pay Paul so I can try my best to keep it as close to 68 degrees in here as I can, and humidity free. And the winter time is a little bit different. The winter doesn't bother me that much. Again, I try to keep it at 68 degrees. This is a very old drafty apartment, as I've told you guys before. So sometimes it ends up being around 65 degrees, but we can bundle up. It's not a matter of like humidity or anything like that. Sometimes when it's very, very cold outside, like a few weeks ago when it's below zero, I will have to I'm looking right now. Not right now, it's on 68 and it is 68, but a few weeks ago, I had the heat on 74 and it was only 60. So I will up the temperature when I have to. And again, I will just rob Peter to pay Paul, make payment arrangements. I do get a little bit off my utilities every year, not much. I will do without something else or adjust my budget to make to make it affordable somehow. Um, yeah, so these are things that I will not skimp on. Also, medications. So, if you're a person who has multiple chronic illnesses or just one, or, just a condition like high blood pressure or something like that, and your medication is not something that you want to scrimp on. You know, if you have Medicaid, your prescriptions are paid for in full most of the time. If you have Medicare, you do have a copay. Well, not a copay, I'm sorry. Well, you do if you have prescription plan coverage. That's what I meant to say. I don't, but I use discount programs. So, of course, you always want to make sure if you're a low income person that you ask for generics when possible. If the drug is not covered by GoodRx for whatever reason, you don't get a big enough discount, you can contact the companies that make the drugs, and some of them will have programs to either provide the medication for nothing or give you a substantial discount. There are also discount drugstores in some areas. Or what I'll do sometimes if I'm low on cash is I will ask for my prescription broken up into increments, like 2-week increments, so I can afford to take them. Especially with my insulin. My insulin they can't break up because it's in a box. But you want to make sure that you have what you need. You can always go to a food pantry if you need to buy food, but you can't go to a prescription drug pantry, right? So you need to be very mindful that you have the medications that you need to keep you healthy and to keep you alive in some cases, like with my blood pressure meds and my insulin. So that is one place you definitely should not skimp. So that's just my advice. So what are some things that you would not compromise on? You know, I'm wondering what your thoughts are. Oh, the other thing is, while we're on the vein of medicine, you don't want to skimp on your regular checkups with your doctor, especially if you have those chronic illnesses. There are different clinics that do sliding scale, and of course, you want to plan in your budget for these times you have to go to the doctor. If you have Medicaid, you don't pay anything for those visits. Medicare, you may have a small copay. And if you have to see specialists like I do, I know that they want to pressure you into paying the full copay at the front desk. But generally, most of these places, if they know that your intentions are good and you will make good on your copay, you can either ask them to bill you or you can pay in payments. So that's what I do with my specialists. Like, I'll go there and I'll know that, for instance, my gastroenterologist, I have like an $80 copay. So I'll go there with $30 and I'll tell them I will send you $30 in 2 weeks, and I'll make sure I call if I don't send it, and I'll pay off the $30, and then I'll have $20 that I owe, and I'll pay that at the beginning of the next month. And if you're a patient of record and they know they can trust you, most of the time they'll do that. They know that all of us are struggling, especially those of us on a fixed income. So most of them will do that. You also want to make sure that you take care of your teeth. And by that, I mean getting regular checkups. If you can only afford to go to a dental clinic once a year, then make sure that you do that. Get a good, thorough cleaning. Get your gum and your bone levels checked. Have an oral cancer screening. Very important. I say this not only as a formal dental professional, but it is important because everything is systemic. Everything connects to everything else in your body, and dentistry is no different. So if you've got something going in your mouth, chances are that it will affect another part of your body and vice versa. So make sure that you go get a dental checkup at least once a year. I know that Medicaid recipients, they can go to a dental clinic and it won't be any cost. Um, and again, you can go to a sliding scale clinic. That in every major city, there's usually a dental school. You can go there for very low cost or no cost cleanings. Don't be embarrassed. Make sure you go, and make sure that you're taking care of your teeth at home. Now, I know we get tired, we get exhausted, and we don't want to brush and floss. But as a good friend of mine, an ex colleague, used to say, only brush and floss the ones you want to keep. And that is so important. You just have to brush your teeth 2 minutes, 2 times a day, and floss them once a day. It's so important, especially if you have a lot of fillings and crown and bridge work. If you've got removable dentures, you want to make sure that those are kept clean. You know, because cavities are expensive, and, not only that, I mean, who wants to have a cavity? Those suckers are painful, and if you've got dental work in your mouth, you want it to last as long as possible. So make sure that you're taking care of your teeth. If you know that you're tired and you're sitting watching TV, just pause whatever you're watching, go and brush your teeth, and then make sure you don't eat or drink anything else but water all night. Another good thing that I recommend is, even if you're using an off-brand one, use a fluoride-based rinse. And for those of you who don't like using fluoride, you prefer a more natural approach, I'm going to tell you something. Using a rinse with enough fluoride to keep you cavity free is not going to kill you. You would have to ingest so much fluoride that it's not even possible to ingest enough in a little bit of a rinse. Hello again, Mittens. Hey, little buddy. So, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. And the upside is, the more fluoride you use and the better you take care of your teeth, you won't need fillings. The inert materials and fillings are far more harmful than a little bit of fluoride ever could be. And that's not to say that, again, I don't want to say that filling material is dangerous, but you're putting plastic in your teeth, or you're putting mercury-laden fillings in your teeth, and I have both. And you got to take care of your teeth if they break down. So, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. So I'm not going to, debate that. You have to do what you and your dentist decide is best. But to have people debate and tell me that fluoride is so dangerous when they're getting rampant decay because they're not using it, and then have to use materials that, could be far worse for you. It's kind of silly. It's like 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I mean, they're called composite fillings, are not so dangerous for you because it's not like you're eating the filling material. It's cured to and bonded to your tooth. But there are some studies that say that the material will leach into your bloodstream, and the same with amalgam. You know what? Pick your battles. We go outside and we breathe in pollution every day, and that could cause problems too. There's a gazillion things around us environmentally that can cause problems. Keep your teeth healthy so you can keep your teeth. A lot of people will say, well, just pull all my teeth and give me dentures. Anyone that I know that has dentures will tell you that they are nothing like having your own teeth. So just take care of your teeth, y'all. Get an exam to just rehash at least once a year. The ADA recommends every 6 months to get your teeth cleaned. Make sure that you're flossing your teeth once a day. Make sure that you are brushing your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day without excuses. You can get flossers again at the dollar store. You can get a tube of toothpaste at the dollar store. And change your toothbrushes every 3 months. No excuses. Or if you're sick, you can get like a 4-pack sometimes of soft bristled. You want to use soft bristled toothbrushes at the dollar store. That's 4 for $1.25, or if you're at a different store, $1 even. You can get them on sale at the supermarkets. So there you go. Think about it this way. Most people waste more money each day on things that are not necessities. So this to me is non-negotiable. Cleanliness, your health, your diet, which your health hinges off of in some cases. So those are my non-negotiables. Again, what are some of yours? I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments. If you enjoy content like mine, which focuses on frugal living, living an abundant lifestyle on a low income, lots of frugal cooking, all things being a mom, all things midlife for us ladies, and just life in general, please feel free to join our little community and hit that subscribe button, like, and of course comment. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.